Well, welcome to the 700 Club. For today's top stories, let's go over to the CBN News Desk.
Gordon, the war of words between Israel and the Obama administration is getting hotter after Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu fired back following Secretary of State John Kerry's speech on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Chris Mitchell brings us the story.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said Kerry's speech was almost as unbalanced as the anti-Israel resolution passed at the UN Security Council last week.
Secretary Kerry paid lip service to the unremitting campaign of terrorism that has been waged by the Palestinians against the Jewish state for nearly a century.
The U.S. abstained from a vote in the Security Council against Israeli settlements in Judea and Samaria, also known as the West Bank, allowing the resolution to pass.
What he did was to spend most of his speech blaming Israel for the lack of peace by passionately condemning a policy of enabling Jews to live in their historic homeland and in their eternal capital, Jerusalem.
In a televised speech, Kerry spoke for well over an hour, much of it bashing Israel for building Jewish communities in its biblical homeland, including Jerusalem, where Palestinians want a future state.
The Israeli Prime Minister publicly supports a two-state solution, but his current coalition is the most right-wing in Israeli history, with an agenda driven by the most extreme elements.
Kerry said Israeli settlements are ruining the dream of a two-state solution, so the U.S. couldn't veto the resolution.
In the end, we could not, in good conscience, protect the most extreme elements of the settler movement as it tries to destroy the two-state solution.
Netanyahu fired back.
Israelis do not need to be lectured about the importance of peace by foreign leaders. Israel's hand has been extended in peace to its neighbors from day one, from its very first day.
Israel and the Palestinians have worked on the two-state solution for more than 20 years. Israel gave up territory and got terror in return. Now Israelis are looking forward to working with a new U.S. administration.
We're certainly looking forward to working together with the new administration on strengthening Israel. Look at the paradox here. The whole region is in chaos. Just 2 hours from here, in Syria, there's a genocide going on where they've murdered 500,000 women, children, and men, innocent men, and yet the UN Security Council has done nothing.
Israeli Education Minister Naftali Bennett told CBN News that the Obama administration is trying to tie President-elect Donald Trump's hands with the UN resolution.
It's not going to work. You know, Jerusalem has been our capital for well over 3,000 years. No UN resolution will change that. No UN resolution can change history.
A so-called peace conference in Paris is scheduled for just days before the inauguration, and many say nothing good will come out of it, and others are just holding their breath until Donald Trump takes office. Chris Mitchell, CBN News.
The Obama administration is moving for new sanctions against Russia over what Democrats and some in the intelligence community believe was Russian interference in the presidential election. Dale Hurd has that story.
The tough new economic sanctions and diplomatic censures planned for Russia are coming along with more information explaining why some U.S. intelligence officials believe Russia was behind the hack of emails that embarrassed Democratic Party leaders, including presidential candidate Hillary Clinton. The White House claims the cyber attacks were launched in an effort to help Republican Donald Trump, even though the source of the hacked Democratic emails, Julian Assange, insists they did not come from Moscow. The Washington Times reports the source was a, quote, disgusted Democratic whistleblower. Russia has denied the hacks, and President-elect Trump has continued to question whether Russia was responsible.
They have no idea if it's Russia or China or somebody. It could be somebody sitting in a bed someplace.
President Obama was asked what evidence he has.
What I can tell you is that the intelligence that I've seen gives me great confidence in their assessment that the Russians carried out this hack.
The president has admitted there is no evidence that votes were tampered with, but warns the U.S. might conduct covert cyber operations against Russia at a time and place of America's choosing. But Mr. Obama's time in the White House is running out. Dale Hurd, CBN News.
A new report refutes claims by the abortion industry that its clinics don't need inspections and tougher regulations. Paul Strand brings us that story.
Pro-life forces were greatly disappointed this past summer when the U.S. Supreme Court agreed with the abortion industry that, as Justice Stephen Breyer put it, abortions taking place in an abortion facility are safe. The new report, Unsafe, shows years of documented abuse that proves the court made a mistake as far as Deanna Wallace is concerned.
So what we did is look through thousands of public documents and found that over 227 abortion clinics in 32 states were responsible for more than 1,400 health and safety violations over the past 8 years. 5 of those 227 clinics blasted in this report belong to the group Whole Women's Health. Ironically, the same abortion chain that convinced the Supreme Court this summer abortions done in their clinics are completely safe. We highlight 11 individual cases from the past 8 years, women that died in abortion clinics, women that were permanently injured.
It was the personal story of a child, Deanna Bell, that led Wallace herself into the pro-life movement years ago.
She's a 12-year-old little girl that passed away in an abortion clinic in Philadelphia that hadn't been inspected in, I think, about 18 years. And to me, that's when I first started thinking about whether we were doing enough to protect women when they went into the clinics.
Abortion backers like to say the procedure is safe, legal, and rare.
The only one of those 3 things that is actually true in the American abortion industry is that abortion is legal. It is not rare. We know that there are more than 1.2 million abortions every single year, and we know that it's not safe.
And the new report, Unsafe, proves it. Paul Strand, CBN News, Washington.
More evidence of a stronger economy with last-minute shoppers hitting the stores, and Amazon reporting that it shipped more than 1 billion items during the holiday season, making it the best ever. Many economists are hoping that growth in the years ahead will be strong, with President-elect Trump promising tax cuts for businesses and individuals. And speaking of taxes, let's go back over to Terry with some advice about tax-deductible giving.
There are only a few more days left in the year and even fewer days left to make a charitable donation that you can deduct from your taxes this year. We'd like to encourage you to give to CBN. When you do, your gift helps bring food, clothing, and medical aid to people all around the world. And it's also used to spread the gospel. Because your donation is tax deductible, you'll be saving money on your tax bill. In short, you'll be a blessing and you'll be blessed as well. So call now, 1-800-700-7000. That's 1-800-700-7000. You can also log on to CBN.com.